will primarily be chatting through interfaces like ChatGPT for our use cases. And I think for Web3 applications, that's no different.
Today, we have one of the hardest working people in the Hedera ecosystem. He's also the president of Hashgraph Online, as well as several other things. Michael, thanks for hopping on.
Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate you as always bringing us on to the show. Yeah, really, really excited to be here today.
Well, to kick this off, why don't you just give us a quick recap on what ConvAI is?
Yeah, so OpenConvey is essentially a AI to AI communication standard. What it enables is number one, first and foremost, you have an AI agent, I have an AI agent, maybe I have a robot, maybe you have a robot, maybe you're a person, maybe I'm a person, and we register inside of the OpenConvey registry. And this is a decentralized registry where anyone can find us, discover us, connect, and have a conversation. Our accounts are essentially just Hedera entities. So anything that runs a Hedera entity can join this registry and be discovered. That's why I alluded to, well, it could be a robot, it could be a person, it could be anything really. As long as you have a private key to an account and you can run and respond to queries, it could be a browser or it could be inside of a agent application, then you're able to join this registry. And we utilize Hedera native services to accomplish everything inside of OpenConvey. So you have these profiles, which uses our standard HCS11 actually, where you define your name, your description, your bio, and what your capabilities are if you're an AI agent or if you're an MCP server. That's defined inside of these profiles. So through these profiles, through the registry, you can now discover agents, MCP servers, humans, robots, etc. So I might be looking for an MCP server that's really good at handling certain kinds of transactions or providing weather data. Or I might be looking for an AI agent that's a generalist that can do everything and anything and point me to the right person. You have these different kinds of capabilities that you've defined within this registry, and you create this discoverability mechanism flywheel effect. Through OpenConvey, which we've most recently pushed into Mainnet's first implementation through Moonscape, you can now register your agent and utilize a Mainnet for the first time.
So that was the big news that came out this week, was that you've actually moved to Mainnet. What else do we need to know about that?
Yeah, so Mainnet is officially live. You can use it as of now. It's more of a soft launch. Our big focus right now is bringing on teams, MCP servers, agents, and having them register in the registry. Right now is the moment where we can bring everyone on board and make them discoverable and built on top of Hedera directly. In addition to this registry, in addition to the registry, you can go and find here and find these different agents and have conversations with them. This is entirely what it looks like. And if it's an agent or an MCP server, you'll have a different label inside the registry. But make no mistake, this is all stored on their consensus service. There also is a Moonscape points leaderboard. And the Moonscape points leaderboard is an opportunity for you to show up on this leaderboard through your efforts. So you can collect points by essentially engaging with the ecosystem. And it's all based on on-chain activity. It's not necessarily based on what you do inside of the portal. As long as you are implementing the HCS10 standard, you're creating the right topics, you're starting conversations, and you are being a good actor, where you have these high quality engagements, then you will be able to collect these points and show up in the leaderboard. So it's a fun way to get involved as well. And you can kind of use that as a means of discovery as well. If you're creating an AI agent or an MCP server, this is a great way to be discovered and show up at the top of the leaderboard, right? So that people can find you. Additionally, inside of the agents directory, there is a rating and review system. So ideally, if you've got great ratings and users have found value in your AI agent, or maybe just talking to you as a person, then you would show up at the top of the directory. And that's another way and another outlet to kind of plug back into the point side of it. So that's all live today, and you're able to start getting involved. The big thing kind of centers around the open source side of it and actually providing value within the ecosystem. So from Hashgraph Online side, we've also been helping out with creating a new Hedera agent kit. And as part of that Hedera agent kit, you have the capability to do these human in the loop kind of conversations. So as part of the portal, we are building on top of the new Hedera agent kit. And one of the capabilities of the Hedera agent kit is being able to provide these human in the loop flows. So it's one thing to have an autonomous agent that's using an agent kit and it's just doing stuff. And what that kind of means is, by definition, your agent has a private key and it has HBAR in its account. And it's able to execute transactions. You tell the agent, okay, I want you to go and swap this token to this token through this smart contract. It does that using its own wallet and its own balance. That's good for very limited use cases, right? If you kind of think about it. But that's the agent's wallet. It's not your wallet as a user. And if you're talking about a decentralized chat experience like Mintscape, it probably won't be applicable for 90% of things that you want to do. So with the human in the loop flows, as a user, you might ask your agent, okay, I want to send one HBAR to account 800. I don't want to go into an interface, click all the buttons, or figure out how a network works. I just want to go and do it through natural language. So you give that natural language query, and then the agent goes and executes that query for you, and they give you the transaction bytes. So you didn't have to figure anything out. You just click a button, boom, you're done. Let's say you have a more complicated example, like you want to create a token, right? And you say, I want to create a token called agents that has 100 supply. With the human in the loop flows and the new Hedera agent kit, one of the things that we did is we created inferences. So basically, it'll read your prompt, and humans make bad prompts all the time because we suck, obviously. And it'll say, oh, well, I noticed you said that, and I'm assuming this is what you actually want. But if that's not what you want, just send me another prompt and we can work on that. We can change that, right? Because you run the risk otherwise of, I want to create a token with 8 decimals, 100 supply, and this is the treasure, like these really strict prompts. And unfortunately, that's even more work for the person than just doing it themselves at the end of the day. So through these human in the loop flows, the idea is that it should make your life easier when you're trying to do stuff, when you're trying to borrow, lend, swap, etc. It should be a lot faster than the current experiences that you have today. And this is where we kind of see the industry is going to head, where AI is essentially taking over every facet of our lives. We see it quite clearly. You go on Google, you get AI generated results. You go primarily to ChatGPT nowadays to ask basic queries. I'm sure that you've experienced this too, Brandon, the day-to-day basis. I'm definitely somebody who depends now more on AI than ever before. And I don't believe that in the future we will be going to websites. I don't believe we'll be going to many apps. I think we'll primarily be chatting through interfaces like ChatGPT for our use cases. And I think for Web3 applications, that's no different. And as that goes forward, the things that we have to think about are privacy, security, and also how keys work and how transactions work. Things will start moving faster than ever. And also that will create a new industry for criminals kind of to take advantage of. And it's important that when you're thinking about that, when you have these decentralized chat experiences, that they're decentralized and governed by actors that you can trust, like Hashgraph Online. With Hashgraph Online, we are a DAO-led organization with 10 companies behind us, leading organizations on Hedera. And behind that, we're built on Hedera itself, which is governed by 39 plus leading enterprise companies around the world. So there's a lot of trust that's built into these ecosystems. And as a spoiler alert, that trust doesn't just have to be on Hedera. What if we can utilize these decentralized registries outside of the Hedera ecosystem? What if you have an agent in a Web2 ecosystem or another Web3 ecosystem, and you can register it inside of ConvAI on Hedera? What if you can find and discover and chat to that agent immediately through peer-to-peer, governed by all these layers of trust? That's just a thought that I want to spin the wheel on. I don't have much that I can directly talk about, but it's something that we're interested in. So those are just some ideas. With the launch of Moonscape and where we're kind of heading with that, we are working with a lot of the teams that participated in the Hedera X AI hackathon, as well as the future upcoming hackathons. So we have the Origins hackathon that Hashgraph is organizing, and one of the tracks there is AI, which has a focus on the Hedera Agent Kit and OpenConvAI. And additionally, coming in August, there's the Hedera Africa Hackathon, which Hashgraph Online will be very much involved with, especially on the AI front.
Exciting stuff. Now, you're talking about some of those teams that you're working with. I know that AI is kind of working right alongside with the transactional Internet of Things, deep in space, and we have teams like CLSQ, YSAT, and Neuron. We also have people that are working directly in the AI governance space. Equity Labs is a good example, Prove AI. What kind of teams are you working with, even if you can't talk about the direct partnerships right now, but what kind of teams are you working with, and what kind of partnerships do you think ConvAI and what you're working with can help?
That's a really great question. I have to be careful what I say, but I will say that at least we are working with the teams from the last Hedera X AI hackathon, Hedera AI Agents hackathon. So we're very closely talking with Frankie, for example, who we're super excited about. I don't know if you saw their demo. What they're creating is the ability for you to take your spare phone or your throwaway devices, computers, tablets, etc., and host an AI agent on it. And then not only do you host that AI agent on it, you earn tokens for doing that. So it's a really cool concept. They're building on Hedera, they're building on OpenConvAI, they're building on the AI infrastructure on Hedera itself to make these things happen. Additionally, we're working with an awesome team called Unthink AI. You might have also seen them through the various demos. What they're creating essentially is like you're an influencer, right? And there's no way that you can talk to 1,000 people at the same time. So what if you can have an AI agent do that for you instead? What if the AI agent can handle all of your brand alignment stuff, make suggestion, and kind of work with these people on an individual level, just copying your personality and being trained on your data, what products you have to offer. And Tina, the founder of Unthink, will explain a little bit better than I can. But I think it's a really exciting use case. And it's something that's being paired with OpenConvAI as well and the agent infrastructure. There's a number of other teams that are also building on Hedera, like Talent AI. They're with DYOR Blockchain. You might have heard of them. And they're creating essentially an agentic-led interview process. Right now, it's targeted towards Hedera developers, right? You go and do this interview as a developer, and you have to pass a certain metric, and it's assisted by AI. It's a really cool piece of functionality that plays into, again, Hedera's agentic infrastructure. So there's a lot of teams here that are building with an ecosystem, and we're only going to see that grow, I think, because Hedera just makes sense for AI, right? We have fixed transaction fees. They're very low cost, and they execute within 3 to 5 seconds. You don't get that combination on top of the fact that we have the Hedera consensus service, which doesn't exist anywhere else. It is the perfect breeding ground for things that are related to AI, where you have a lot of unstructured content, right? With typical blockchain mechanisms, you do very specific things, or you create a smart contract for it. But can you spin up a smart contract for every single little thing that you have to do? Whereas HCS is, I would say, quite flexible, maybe even fungible, where you can create these meta protocols like we have at Hashgraph Online to execute different needs. If you have things like verifiable training data, it makes a lot of sense to do it on Hedera because of the cost and the flexibility there, right? At the end of the day, we're creating these large language models, and we don't want to create a walled garden effect with those models. How do we trust them? How do we trust that data that they're trained on if it's not stored somewhere in a decentralized fashion?
Makes perfect sense. And it sounds like I'm going to have a lot more people to interview along the lines of AI. So the last thing that I want to get into is I've been covering Coinbase's X402 a fair amount. Does that have any impact on ConvAI or vice versa?
Not particularly. The way I kind of see it is 402 is this really cool standard and extends on HTTP headers. And historically, it was actually something that was raised a really long time ago. And it didn't go anywhere. And then Coinbase kind of saw this opportunity and was like, well, what if we actually use this header for something to facilitate payments, brokerage of payments, exchange of facilitators? It is a great mechanism for, especially for normies as well, to start interacting with blockchain. and have those payments done through Coinbase or other facilitators. With OpenConvey, we obviously have a means of doing transactions built into network through things like HIP991, and now through the transaction operation where you can, like I was showing the demo earlier, where you can send a transaction within the chat. What I see 402 as being potentially within OpenConvey is an extension of the protocol where you can send a payment link using the 402 header. I don't know that it really changes much, but it could be a cool way to extend the protocol, if anything.
All right, fair enough. Congratulations on the launch of ConvAI and everything else you have going on. Michael, I love the way you present things, so you're always welcome back. Thanks a lot for coming on.
Thank you, Brandon.
I'm now posting these interviews of Hedera builders independently to my channel. The community, influencers, and media outlets are free to use this content to spread the word on what's being built on Hedera. Once they're all uploaded, you'll be able to go to my channel and search for whatever topic or team you're interested in to find more information. Or you'll be able to get the most recent Hedera news by watching the latest HBAR Weekly update. So check them out.